Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where property meets purpose. I'm Tahlia Huke.
And I'm Rovers. Together we are here to unpack the real stories behind people shaping the property industry, from bold first steps to career-defining moments and the life lessons they've built along the way. So let's unpack it. Welcome to Built for This. First episode, so we've gone out on a bit of a limb. Neither of us, I don't think, love talking about ourselves. So we've decided why not get it over and done with the first episode of unpacking our stories, so then you know who's behind the microphone. So Charles, let's get into unpacking a little bit of your story. How did you get into property? What are you currently doing? And what's your passion for property?
Beautiful. So my goes way back to when I was 18. And I just wanted a stable job in an office. And I remember I was sitting outside waiting for my property management interview, Googling what is property management.
Perfect. Most people do that, I think, going into an interview like that.
And got the job, surprisingly, and then started in admin for property management, went through to leasing, through to BDM for many years. And now here I am 12 years later as a sales agent and have been for 3 years at Oslo Property.
Amazing, and not just a sales agent, an absolute gun sales agent as well. So I guess what does a day in the life of Tahlia Huke look like as a sales agent?
So in terms of my work structure, it's, typically in the morning doing more of the admin side, calls, things like that. And then I typically like to be out of the office for the afternoon. But day in the life before and after work is something I'm really still working on. So
I was going to say, how are you going to put a day in the life look like? Surely a real estate agent, a day in the life changes every single day, you might have a plan. Guess it doesn't go to plan.
Oh, never. Absolutely never. So that's where I think I'm just really, and with real estate, it's one of those things where you don't really have, you can have your set routines, but in terms of same thing every day. So it's just figuring out, okay, how can I wake up, do what I need to do for myself, and then wind down at night. And again, that's something that I'm really trying to figure out. But day to day, so many appointments, out of office, trying to be out and about in the local communities and with Eden, my associate, and just working through the days.
Since you don't have a routine for morning and night, this is, and hopefully not an unhinged answer from you, but let's choose Monday. What happened on Monday before work and after work? Talk me through your day.
Monday. What was Monday?
You can do Tuesday. I just chose a random day.
Okay, we'll go with Tuesday because...
You can remember?
Yeah. And I had my networking meeting in Torquay. But essentially at the moment, I go through phases. Like 1 week, I'm great. I'll get up early, go to Pilates at 6 a.m, grab a coffee, come home, get ready. They're the days that I like to film my day in the life. And then the other days, I'm honestly just, waking up, sort of cruising out of bed and just taking it slow and then heading to the office. So again, that morning routine is something that I'm really working on, and I think it'll just give me a bit of a routine. I'm also trying to be kind to myself in terms of no pressure, and when I feel like going to exercise, I'll do that.
I feel like you get more out of it that way. Like I've had Pilates memberships where it's like unlimited and I just go because I know I need to go. But then if I only go to 2 classes or something a week, I get so much more out of it anyway because I want to push myself.
Exactly. I think that's my biggest thing. Yeah, I'm like, okay, so every single day I need to do this. But if I just do it as I feel, there's no pressure.
What's something in your role, Charles, that you don't think people know that real estate agents or sales consultants do? What would be a surprising part?
One of the ones that I think is quite fascinating, and look, people may know this, but we quite often know a huge life change for a family or a person before any of their family or anyone close to them knows.
Yeah, that's huge. I hadn't really even been a sales consultant in a past life. I didn't even thought about that. But yeah, you probably know that what's coming up, like whether
they're separating, making the big move interstate for work and things like that. And it's amazing. It just got me thinking the other day because I actually had a client that essentially, told me that they were separating before the partner even knew. Do you know what I mean? It's quite intense. So
how do you go with the emotional toll of that?
I've gotten much better. I'm a very empathetic person, so it is difficult sometimes to sort of leave my emotions at the door for them and just sort of show up with my with my role essentially of what I'm there to do and help them through that. So it really depends on the person. Quite often it helps build the trust and things like that, but I just really try and take the emotion out of it as much as possible so that, again, I can show up and just do the job for them and make sure that it's smooth for them.
Yeah, that's huge, isn't it? Because most people would probably just think it's all happy stories, people upsizing or, moving because of a promotion and those types of things, but there's probably a fair bit of emotional
There is, absolutely.
On already what is the roller coaster life of a sales agent.
For sure.
Tals just said she had an offer withdrawn, which is, sad. So
she's
up and about for the
it's
recording, but don't want to rub salt in the wounds there. Sorry, Tals.
No, it's one of those things every day, the amount of, you get used to the rejection for one, but also, things happen with particular clients, things fall through, things like that. And it's just move forward. Like there's nothing you can do about it. So
now we actually work together. So I can say we, but in our office, we have a few female sales agents, and I guess I just want to unpack that a little bit. Talk to me about what it's like, how you felt fitting into the industry. Is there anything that you think is it an advantage or disadvantage to yourself for being a female in the property industry?
I think this day and age, it's a real advantage, I find. I've been very lucky with everywhere that I've worked in real estate. I've been surrounded by really supportive men. So I think that really, really helps. We all lift each other up. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female. So very lucky in that sense. And I think an advantage for me is being empathetic. It's just a different sort of approach. Some of my clients actually say they just want a female to work with because it's just different types of personalities. So yeah, for me, it's an advantage, especially for the type of clientele that I like to work with.
Yeah, and you are super empathetic, but you know what you want. And so when it comes to negotiations, you are, I wouldn't say brutal, but you know what the outcome needs to be, and you work
absolutely
so hard for that too. So yeah, that's amazing that you can find that balance of doing the right thing by buyer and vendor, but also being able to,
switch and just
get the job done. Because I guess that is, at the end of the day, in the best interest of both, really. Like someone wants to buy a house and someone wants to sell it, and you're just connecting the two.
Exactly, yeah. And that at the end of the day, we're not saving lives. It's just, helping with a transaction, but also having that relationship within the transaction as well. Like I really enjoy. So, no, it's good. Should we head to your questions?
I thought if I kept asking you questions, we could maybe avoid me talking about myself.
No, your turn. So, Megan, what was your first job in property? Tell us, how did you enter the real estate world?
So I was at uni doing accounting and law, and I knew it was the degree. It was a good degree for me, but I just knew it wasn't necessarily a long-term career. I could never really see myself sitting in an office still for an entire day. And obviously both those roles, you need immense concentration, which I can do for a period of time, but I just knew that out and about talking to people face to face was going to be more my thing. And my parents, at the time I was at uni living on res, and my parents were in Shepparton. They wanted investment property. So they sent me on the way to go and find an investment property. And in that process, I stumbled across property and real estate, essentially. My parents have just sold their house. They haven't moved in 38 years. So property and real estate wasn't really anything that was ever discussed as a family.
Quite often that we all stumble into real estate somehow.
Fell into it. And from doing that, my parents decided to build a house. And when we're going through that process, I found a real passion for the process and trying to understand what was going to be the best to put into this property, where to buy, what actually mattered. And through that, I landed a job as a sales assistant in a display home. So that was my first role, which was perfect for uni. And I can say this now because I obviously don't work there anymore. But when there was something to do, there was plenty to do. But then when there was nothing, it was, nursing the hangover from the Thursday night before, sitting in the display home, or using the printer to print my lecture notes for the next day and studying. So it was the perfect uni job, but really opened my eyes up to property and the real estate industry. And from there, we were selling properties to a lot of investors and realised there was a bit of a gap where we were selling. That's Armstrong Creek in Victoria. And
it was quite new at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was nothing there. There was nothing. There was no cafes. The roads were all dead ends. You couldn't get very far. I think the first residents had just moved into their house. So it was paddocks, but I could see the vision for the area and I could see what could come of a real estate agency focusing in that area. So with little knowledge, little skills, zero experience, we decided to start a real estate agency. And Josh McDonald, one of our directors at Oslo now, he was our first employee. And welcome to the team and welcome to the office of my back living space. So he moved down from Shepparton, we went to school together, and yeah, he was our first sales agent, and yeah, as in the nicest way possible, making it up, but it has fortunately worked out quite well for us. And I think ignorance was bliss at that stage. We didn't know what we were getting into, so it was just learning on the job. And I think the way our agency works now is it's just has been and always will be based on the client experience. So it's not what is normal in the real estate industry, or it's not what is always been done. We've just kind of gone with, well, what would make the process best for the client, and gone from there. So
absolutely.
Long answer
No,
of how I got into
it's
property,
good.
but yeah.
Because it is, like, it's a huge story, and I think for you to see the vision of where Armstrong Creek is now is actually crazy and amazing that you've done that, because essentially you're the first real estate agency in the area. But also, I've lost my train of thought, but I had a good question for you on that.
This is my brain at the moment. So I've just had a baby 5 months ago.
I haven't.
And, and I lose track mid-sentence. So I do apologise if I start saying something and then mid-sentence I lose it. I can't keep up with where I am up to, and then probably half an hour later I'll blurt out a question that isn't relevant anymore.
I was about to say, it'll probably come to me.
That.
So let's keep flowing through. And when did you know real estate was more than just a job for you?
I think it's addictive. Like, I found it super addictive, and it wasn't just getting the deal done. I actually liked listing houses for sale more than selling. I liked working with the client, as you said, understanding what the client wanted, and then getting everything ready to go to market. And there was a little bit of a pivotal moment for me when it came to, I've just done 5 years of study, funded thanks by my parents. Sorry about not really using that degree very often. It needed to be, okay, well, am I going to finish this degree or am I going to choose property? And the choice of property, I remember I was living in a share house at the time and speaking to my parents, and they kind of said to me, like, it's pretty risky what you're doing. Make sure, you're really passionate about it. And I knew at that time that was the right route to go. Like, I knew that I was passionate enough about this that I'd make it work. So that's where I kind of knew. And at the time, I was really keen on even the company that I was working for, actually building a career inside that company. They're Australia's biggest builder. I could see that they were really good to their team members, but I went up for an interview and I thought, great, and maybe this was me being naive. I just didn't think my age was ever going to be an issue, and certainly not my gender. I'd never been categorised on either of those things. And I went for an interview and I fully thought that I could be a sales consultant at that company. And at the time we went up there and I did the interview, and it was for a display home host coordinator role. And I just sat there and was like, this is not what I want. That's not the role that I thought I was capable of, that I've shown that I can actually do this sales consultant role. And then it kind of clicked to me that there was, I think, about 16 men as sales agents in that role. And I just thought, well, I'm not going to be able to pursue a career in this particular company. So that's when we just put more effort into the real estate agency to make that work. Because I thought, well, if they're not going to, I guess, allow me to be a sales agent there, I'll just do it myself. So joined Josh in our team to become a sales agent. Yeah, from there we've worked together, thick of thieves, since then, having each other's back, but also having the most brutal conversations with each other sometimes to make sure that we continue to grow. Yeah.
Amazing. And I didn't know that about, that you went for a sales consultant role with the building company.
Yeah, and it's probably my fault that I thought, if I'm going up to Melbourne to have an interview, that there could be the opportunity. And at the time, there was only 2 roles kind of that it could have been, like a display home host, which is what I was, or a sales consultant, which I'd been working for a sales consultant for a long period of time. And so I guess assumed that maybe that could be an opportunity, or maybe even a sales cadet or something along those lines. And it wasn't, I'm sure a display home host coordinator role would have been great, but it just wasn't my passion. I loved selling. I wanted to be client facing. I wanted to be out and about. And so I just knew that role wasn't for me. And I thought, well, I'm just going to have to pursue my own thing to a certain degree.
That's amazing.
And upon reflection, it is something, it's one of those sliding door moments to a certain degree that, okay, I've just got to do it myself if I want this. Absolutely.
And yeah, they definitely missed out, because imagine you sold there. Wowee, would have been incredible. So on that then, like, you didn't essentially, get turned away because you're a female, but you sort of assumed so because of the way that the company was set up. How has being a woman in real estate impacted you, if at all?
Really similar answer to you, Tals. I just feel like I've been surrounded by so many good males that every time that this question comes up, whether it's on a panel or in a podcast or something, I feel that I have to really stop and think about it, because I haven't thought or felt really ever a point in time where I've been disadvantaged or advantaged. And maybe that is because for a lot of my life I've never really looked at it as two different things. Like I talk about sometimes I played football in an all-boys team, and at that point in time, and I don't know why my parents let me do this. I think I was 12 and playing under 14s in a team, in a league actually full of boys. I was the only girl in the whole league. And I didn't think at that age that was an issue or that was weird. I just knew that I wanted to play football. And again, I'd just do whatever it took to do that. So the league actually tried to say, no, you can't. So I'm showing my age here. This is way before women's football.
Yeah.
And the league said, like, they were a bit hesitant about it, obviously, because it was dangerous. Some of these 14-year-old boys, tackling a 12-year-old girl. But when there was a will, there was a way. So all I had to do was wear a helmet, which I thought was great because they couldn't pull my hair. But looking back in photos, not a great look. 12-year-old girl going, leading into puberty with a helmet on, probably not the cutest look. So I think from there, I've never really turned my mind or never really put a barrier for myself or never really had it as an excuse for a reason why I can or can't do something. So if I ever have, faced it, it's almost been like a push on moment or you watch me, you wait and see, I can do this. Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably in everything, and it's not just about being a female. If someone says I can't do something, it's almost watch me then.
Yeah.
So it does, I guess, ignite a bit of a fire in my belly of I can do this. So, yeah, there are certain times, and we have, Tahlia and I just had a call from a recent seller of mine who actually said, look, I'd love to sell with you again. I'm not selling at the moment, so I've referred it to the gun, Tahlia, to sell. And this particular client said, I really liked your female, you're a female and I really like that. Can I be referred to another female? So sometimes it works to our advantage, as you said. But I'm sure, and no one would probably say it to us, I'm sure there's times that we've missed stuff, but you can't be everything to everyone. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think it's all down to also personality as well. Like some people just don't sort of mix and they clash and that type of thing. So beautiful. Well, in terms of building our careers, the pivot points, the lessons, what would you say have been some of your biggest growth moments within business? I'm sure you've got a lot. So.
Can we go back to you?
You can.
I like talking about you better.
No, you can.
Growth moments. I think, I guess there's a bit of adversity creates opportunity to a certain degree. So COVID was a huge pivotal moment in not only my personal growth as a business owner, but also for just a change in the industry as well. And I felt like there was things that we were wanting to change and do, bring everything electronic, not having to work from the office all the time, those types of things that just weren't in the industry. But COVID kind of pushed people that way. And I think for me, the growth moment from COVID was, whilst you're super empathetic, it was something that a lot of my team knew that I wasn't overly empathetic. But in that moment, I had to tap into that massively because it was the unknown. People were fearful. I was kind of living every day in a bit of a roller coaster myself, kind of going, we've just signed this lease for this new building for 7 years. How are we going to afford this if the industry, shits itself to a certain degree? We had just decided that, we were entering growth mode for the business, and all of a sudden a global pandemic hit. So it was a pivotal point where I had to almost grow up really quickly, switch on the empathy, become a little bit more understanding, be a little bit more flexible, allow people to take control. So it was definitely something that changed the game for me and definitely changed my leadership style. It is the moment in my career where I stopped selling and moved into more of a management role. And naturally, being a salesperson, sometimes management isn't the first, or leadership may not be a natural skill for you. So it was definitely a growth moment that I needed. And when I say I grew up, I think I was like 28, so it's not like I was young still. But
still so young though.
it was the responsibility, I think, that came with it, that it wasn't just about the profit and loss statement that I was managing. It was about people's health, their mental health, their physical health. There was, then understanding their family circumstances and those types of things. So when I say I had to grow up, I had to become more rounded as a leader and understanding to the team and what they were going through as well. But keen to hear from you, Tals. What do you think? Because I feel like your journey, whilst you've had different roles in property, I'd be keen to understand where you felt like you've made it, you've done it, or that something that was really challenging and how you overcame that.
Well, I think, in my career for nearly 12 years now, being in real estate in general, working my way through all of the different phases have all been, growth opportunities for me and times, I guess. But I'd say the biggest growth that I've felt is the last 3 years being in sales. It is just another ball game altogether. I feel, I actually really enjoyed property management. I really enjoyed the BDM side of property management as well, listing and working with clients to, essentially bring them to the leasing market. But I felt that I'd already, not that I had no more growth in that, but I just felt like, yeah, okay, cool, I'm here and keep working through. And if you don't know me, I love change. I'm a really big person with change. So I think stepping into the sales industry was something that I never thought that I'd do, especially during my career within Melbourne. But when I moved down here and saw how personable everyone is, it's a real different community feel. Even just being within our company that we're in, everyone's so forward thinking. Like everyone has a say essentially as well to an extent. So I think, jumping into sales was super scary. I took 10 steps back to get 10 steps forward essentially. So I think that was a huge growth for me. When I went into sales, I said to Josh, look, I want to be a PA for 6 months before I go out on my own. And he goes, look, you could do it on your own, but if that's what you need. And I'm so glad I did that, although it was very stressful. You're essentially, again, I was on a decent salary and things like that, but I just knew I need to do this right. Otherwise, it's not going to be worth it. So, working, it took me 6 months to get my own first listing. I was entering into a market that there was we were quite a new agency and brand at that point with Oslo. And, trying to enter into that market where there were some established agents already placed there, it was really difficult. And then I just kept working. And I remember there was so many nights that I'd go to bed being like, what is actually my purpose tomorrow? Because I don't have a listing. I don't have a sale. What am I bringing to the table? And I just really kept reminding myself it's going to come if I just keep doing the right things. And 2 years later, I just can't believe where I've been able to get to already. So it's just really trusting that process of taking the leap, I think.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into, I guess, moments of challenge, moments of burnout, anything along those lines that you feel like, whilst we've talked about growth and these sliding door moments that we've both kind of had in property, what are some of those moments that have been super challenging that you feel, or have you felt burnt out before, and talk us through that?
Absolutely. I'd say when I was in the early stages of my sales career, I just knew I need to work 6, maybe 7 days. I need to be available 24/7 to be able to, make this worthwhile, which to an extent is sort of true, but you've got the boundaries as well that you need to set for yourself. But there was a point there where I was probably about, because where are we now? I'm 3.5 years into it. I'd probably say around the 2-year mark. There was a point there where I was hanging out with family and friends barely. I didn't have energy when I was there. All I was thinking about was work. I'd be checking my phone 24/7 and just wasn't really present at all. And I felt myself just, constantly thinking about work. And it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying work. That's all I wanted to do. It was all I wanted to do, ensure that, I was negotiating, things like that. And it got to a point where it was a little bit unhealthy in my mind, but also it was what was needed at that time for me to be able to get to where I am now. So it sort of slowed down a little bit at that point after I'd had that big burnout. I hadn't taken a holiday for over 2 years because even Josh kept saying to me, Tahlia, take a day off, have a holiday. And I was just so worried that if I left, everything would just go, which is not a good mindset to be in. So it sort of slowed down. I really took the time to, okay, have a morning off here and there. Even when I say that, though, it's not like I was turning my phone off, but you just sort of be kinder to yourself. And then I was in a position and I thought, how about I hire an associate? I didn't think that I was ready, but I just met the right person. And I remember saying to Megan, we need to hire her, but if she's going to be a sales associate, I want her to be mine, but I'm not ready. And Megan came straight to me saying, you're ready, just do it. And I was so scared, but it's the best thing I ever did. So that's really, really helped just enable me to, not even take a step back. I'm still, working just as hard, but just setting those boundaries for myself in terms of...
Yeah, I feel like your sales associate has provided you with some really good structure, a sounding board more than anything as well. Like, I think there's nothing worse going to a listing presentation and walking out to the car by yourself and not really knowing...
Debrief with anyone and the feedback and just getting that...
like, sorry, but I won't bring it up too many more times, but, an offer withdrawal, at least when you've got an associate, you can kind of like bounce off that person and be like, right, let's get going. Let's get back on it. Let's get another offer through. And sometimes it can be such a lonely... time, like real estate. And I think managing a sales team is probably something that I see really often. And when we talk about burnout, or it's because you are the service, you leave, as you said, and the bills stop getting paid for yourself to a certain degree. So we've tried to create a team environment where, that doesn't happen. We've tried to allow, leave and those types of things and flexibility. But when you are the service provider, it can be quite challenging. And I think it's something that in my career I certainly found a moment, and I now see this a lot with our sales agents, and especially because a lot of our sales agents are younger. It's really sometimes, and this isn't probably a story of burnout, but it's more about purpose. Like, you do get to a point where you are kind of doing a really good job, you're making some good money, but then you don't know how to spend the dollar, or you kind of are competing going, well, I want to make more money because
But what for?
But what for? The world's your oyster to a certain degree. And I think being able to know how to spend that money with purpose and things that you want. And obviously, as you kind of get older, you know that homes and families and, whether you want your kids to go to private schools, all those types of things. But for both of us, like in our 20s, we were and still are working quite a lot to I guess, establish ourselves and make sure that we can have that flexibility moving forward. And I think to do that, you kind of then get in this wheel of the harder I work, the more I get paid, and therefore if I keep doing this, what am I building towards? So trying to find that purpose for every dollar is a challenge. And I think if you don't have that, then it becomes, as you say, when you started your career, you might wake up every day and not even know what you're doing this for.
Yeah.
Because you can't buy time, and that's what I think the challenging thing is.
That's so true.
With a salesperson is, you want to be present with your family and friends, but someone's got an offer on a property, and we need to work through that. But how do you, I guess, manufacture a way that you can make more time for that?
Absolutely.
In that moment.
And I think that's really true, like especially because I am still so early in my sales career. I think it did get to a point where I was like, okay, great, I'm working so hard and making all this money, but I was like, I don't have time to enjoy it, or not even just time, but even just mentally to actually, plan for what am I doing this for? So I think that's definitely something. But also the thing that I'm also, struggling with at the moment is the fear of, is this going to keep coming? So it's trusting the process, controlling what you can control, and everything just falls into place. But you do also need to have a plan as well.
What do you think has been your proudest moment in your career?
I remember I remember my first full year as a sales associate. I sat down with John and he gave me my budget for the year ahead. And I was like, how am I going to do that? I haven't even got a listing on the board yet. And I remember 12 months later at the financial year, we sat down and I thought I knew where I was at, and I thought, yeah, cool, I've reached it, I've exceeded it, that's amazing. And he sat me down and I doubled it. And I actually went to tears. I was just like, it's just, it's baffling to me. So then I was like, okay, next year I'm going to double that again. And, again, you need to sort of keep it, I don't even know the word for it, but you do need to sort of keep humble, I guess, in terms of, okay, let's just keep moving at a pace, but just the feeling that I had when I first got told my original GCI goal to the 12 months later, seeing where I'd been to within that 12-month period, I just couldn't believe it. And I'd say that's probably my proudest moment of my career.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
What advice would you give someone wanting to get into the property industry, into real estate, I guess specifically? Because I think selling sunsets, love selling sunsets, but has given a little bit of an unrealistic expectation of what actually a career in real estate looks like. If you could tell Tahlia 6 years ago, hey, do this and this will, help, or you'll be really successful, what would that advice be?
I think it's also that don't rush it. I think take each year as a new growth year. Like, I think we all get caught up when we first start out, we want to be, earning lots of money and doing all the things. But I think it's just taking it step by step. It's take each moment, learn from it, and just keep moving forward and just do all the things that that you need to do, but take your time to do that.
Love that. I think it's great. And I think we actually get asked quite often, a lot of our team members haven't been in real estate before, and it's something that people want to know. And I think there's no, no golden key, or there's no one way to get into real estate, which I think is really exciting as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles, we've talked about ourselves a fair bit.
Mainly me. Can I just ask, before we stop, what would you say has been your proudest moment so far?
Oh, there's been so many. Being in the industry, I think, and having, the whole story from growing from, a business from zero to now the team that we have, it's hard to put a proudest moment. And I think every time we have team events or team meetings, I just feel an immense overcoming of emotions of, wow, this is our team. How have we built this? And there's so many small wins every week. But even yesterday, as an example, we had our financial year planning meeting, and being able to present my vision and how I want the business to look for the next year, and having, I think there was probably 30 salespeople in the room, all sitting there listening attentively, all on the same page. And without even being prompted, we did a little bit of a around the room what everyone was wanting to achieve. And at that point in time, I thought, all these people have the same mutual goal. We've all got mutual respect for each other. So I think definitely building the business and taking everyone and the team that we currently have, it just makes me super proud to be able to be a leader to our team to a certain degree.
Yeah. And I think as well, just to go back with, there was a question in there that, why sales and why real estate? And when I was reflecting on this, my answer was actually that you're always surrounded by people with the same goals and ambitions. Like, it's actually such a different type of career that you're all, just surrounded by people that want to do well, support each other, and it's just a really great career to be in because you're all striving for something, whether it's personally or as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for a sales team to have each other's backs like our sales team does, that just makes me super proud as well, because I just know what the roller coaster looks like. And at any one point in time, we could have 5 people in completely different points of their career in different moments and what's going on. And as a leader and a manager of the team, I just see our team getting around each other, so that they're not relying on support and leadership from me as much, because the team just kind of leads and supports each other, which is amazing. I'm thinking, and this is a bit off the cuff, just to wrap up the part of the episode that's about us. What's your, I guess, if you had to describe yourself in 1 minute, tell me a little bit more, a bit about personal, a bit about professional. If you had to quickly describe yourself, writing a LinkedIn bio, go.
Wow, okay. Well, I keep touching on it, but I'd say empathetic approach. I'm very, very trustworthy in terms of, especially with my clients, but also my friends, like quite loyal. I'm a hard worker and I'll make the hard calls, but I'm also have a soft approach, I would say. I can be quite bubbly when I'm in the mood, but I'd just say I'm committed. Like
And you're a dog mum?
I'm a dog mum. Oh, sorry about me, actually. Yes, dog mum. My partner Locke. We built our first home together, and I think we're just sort of, he just turned 34, I'm 31. So we're sort of in that phase of our lives at the moment. We're just sort of enjoying the time.
And we're all just patiently awaiting a ring lock. No pressure. I know you'll be listening. So whenever you're ready.
One day maybe, we'll see. But how about you, Megan, to finish it off?
I guess I find calm in the chaos. So everything in my life is a little bit chaotic. Things are consistently changing. I recently have become a mum, which is a whole different hat, whole different ball game on top of running the real estate businesses and all the other businesses that kind of sit alongside that. I love a challenge. I don't like just sitting still and being content. Like, I do like being content. Everyone likes being content. But I think, as I said, I love finding calm in the chaos. And I think if there's multiple balls in the air, working through a plan, looking forward, is kind of where I find my happy space, which, whether that's renovating a house, moving, starting a new business, working with new people, there's always something kind of going on, which love myself a little project.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, look, to be honest, I probably answered that question wrong from the get-go for myself, but usually, like I mentioned earlier, I do love change, but I think at the moment I'm actually just enjoying just being, which is nice.
Yeah, you recently went to Tassie and I saw the photos on Instagram of you just hanging out, going to the footy, having some red wine, going for breakfast.
Having a good time, laying low. Yeah. We don't do too much. We just spend a lot of time with family and nieces and nephews and stuff. But back to you as well, you've done an amazing job of building such a huge and successful company, and also now being a mum is just amazing. And very, very
working through the competing priorities at the moment because I want to be in both spots 100% of the time.
You've done well, actually. From my point of view, it feels like you've been able to take that time.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's been, and we might unpack this in a whole different episode, there's been kind of a lot of change in my life in the last 12 months to get to that point. And it was some of the scariest kind of decisions that I've had to make and financially challenging. But I think everything kind of happens for a reason, and the spot that we're in now couldn't be without the team, the home team that I've got, but also the team at work at the moment. And, going back to the office 5 months postpartum has been the challenge. I think yesterday I was eating my lunch between 2 presentations whilst pumping, and one of the sales agents walked in and was like, what is going on? And, that's just a day in the life of pretty much what it looks like. So let's give the listeners a little bit more of an understanding of why we're doing this, because it was we turned to each other. We knew that we needed to do something. We'd both been putting off doing a podcast. What can people expect from this podcast, and what are we wanting to give? What are some, I guess, key points?
I think just, really sharing people's property journeys for one, anything essentially property industry related, but also if you've got a story and you've got some things that you've overcome throughout that journey, we want to hear it. I'm really excited to learn more about different people in different industries as well. So just being able to, share a little bit about us, because we have such different journeys as well, but also are quite similar in a way.
I think I'm really passionate to try and unpack in a little bit more detail some of people who have been successful across the board in property, whether that's developers or people, have businesses that are related to property. And I guess take away the Instagram, and I say Instagram lens of property, because I think for so many people, the perception of a day in the life of, as you said, you film on the days that you know are going to be good. But there are so many days where it's not like that. And I think for someone who is interested in how property works, and whether that's a developer who's had those, big meetings and how, the pressure and anxiety leading into those. And I just really want to unpack those stories. So take away the Instagram lens on the property industry.
Reel.
And just, I guess, understand. And so then people that are in the industry, whether you're just starting or whether you've been in the industry for a longer period of time, can really relate to other people's stories and find inspiration in that. And our team recently have gone to a real estate conference that happens annually, that it's all about whoever writes the most money and how you get there, and it's hustle, and I think that's great, and it's very motivating sometimes. But for a lot of people it's unrelatable. So
When you're in the trenches with it, it's just, it's almost deflating to an extent. So
yeah, so hopefully we can unpack some people's properties journeys that are real, that they're relatable, and that people can learn some life lessons and work out why these people were built for this.
excited. Let's do it.
Righto, quick fire questions. Tahlia, I'm going to fire some questions away at you and let's see how you go. What's your coffee order?
Almond latte.
No extra shot?
No, no extra shot.
What's your dream home location?
Dream home location would be probably in Torquay, Old Torquay, near the beach.
One thing that keeps you grounded?
Ooh, one thing that keeps me grounded.
This was a quick fire segment, Tals.
I know, and this is the one that gets me. Come back to that one.
Okay, we'll come back to it. You get one pass card. Biggest property pet peeve?
Oh, I don't want to be controversial, but I'd probably say, when people just want to test the market. It's like
We're all in or we're not?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you currently built for?
I'm built for still growing and still learning.
Love that. Cut back to
What keeps me grounded?
what keeps you grounded?
I'd just say, honestly, my dog. Do you know, it sounds so cringe,
No, it's
but
not,
he just
because they're
calms
lives.
me. He really calms me. Like, just being at home, actually, what grounds me is a glass of wine on the couch with Locke and Winston watching the football.
Yeah, and I feel like dogs just make life look so simple. Like, no matter what's going on in your life, you can just look at your dog and be like, you just love a walk. Love
Just
that for you.
everything makes him happy and he loves me no matter what. There's no judgment from him. So, yes, that's the one. Megs, what's your coffee order?
Small almond latte. I did not know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dream home location.
I don't know if it probably exists, but I haven't actually looked. I browse realestate.com for fun, like Instagram, but like a farm by the beach.
I love it.
So like kind of Byron vibes, but yeah, not Byron.
So sense of space,
Yep,
scenic.
space. Yeah, but by the beach.
Love that. Okay, great. One thing that keeps you grounded.
This is a weird one, and I don't know if anyone else does this, but if we go away and every time we fly back into somewhere, I always look out the window and just think, I'm just one in a million. There's so many people out there, and yes, we've got a business, we're number one in the area but I'm literally no one to so many people. And that just keeps me so grounded, just going, wow, look at all these people. Where are they all going? What are they all doing? And flying in just always makes me think about that.
I love it.
Such a weird answer.
No,
Sorry.
no, I love that. Biggest property pet peeve.
Oh, furniture that doesn't fit spaces.
Oh, yes.
Kills me because I am all for recycling furniture and not, I guess adding to landfill and those types of things. But anytime that I've been to someone's home and you're kind of like squishing around and moving around, I just think this house could just flow so much better with, one less chair in this space or something like that. That's my property pet peeve.
I love it. And to finish off, what are you currently built for?
So much more, I feel. I absolutely love everything that I'm doing at the moment, but even just this podcast is something, it's one of those things that's been on the to-do list, and I just feel that, I'm ready for so much more growth. As you said, it's just something that we always talk about. How can we be better at what we do, and how can we keep growing?
I love it.
That's us.
Thanks everyone for listening. We're looking forward to our first guest episode, and if there's anything that you wanted to hear about, let us know.
Thank you.